Live from Kent, this is The Late Late Show with Toby Payne Cook and Ed Finch. And you are listening live.
It's Christmas! Oh, no one's tuning in. They're all watching France at the end of the summer. Anyway, we're back. Toby and Ed on the radio, and Wednesday, 9 o'clock.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org or join in the conversation by downloading the Podbean app and following Teachers Talk Radio. Hashtag TT Radio.
Hi, I don't think it's anyone in the live room. So this is kind of intriguing and going on to enter it. Good evening to those of you who are listening back. You'll be able to hear the beginning of the show. I'm not quite sure. It says I'm on air. I've got an excellent signal. I could play the music. I don't think there are any problems. Where is my friend Ed? Where? Oh, here is Tim. Tim's in the room. Good. I am obviously broadcasting successfully. Anyway, Tim, can you hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up. Oh. No thumbs up? Yes. Good. Well, we're waiting for Ed to join. He said he had a little emergency trip required just now. Hang on. I'm just going to check call-ins activated because I haven't done this for a while. Yes, allow call-in. Anyway, Lucy's in the room. Good evening, Lucy. It's lovely to be back. You missed me, everybody, doing the big, during the show intro, you missed me doing the Slade, the noddy holder. It's Christmas! So, yes. Anyway, it is our Christmas special. This is our first show for 4 weeks. We've had 3 weeks off, and it's probably our last show for 4 weeks as well, as I don't think Ed can do next week, and then it properly is Christmas, and then it's New Year, and then it is... I don't know, travelling back from Devon probably. So I think I might not be back on until the 11th of January or thereabouts. Anyway, here he is. He's in the room. Oh, yes. Ed, you're there.
That was a long trip.
Well, it was a big wee I needed, if I'm honest. I tell you what, I was just getting myself settled down to join you. And then my son said that we had to go and buy orange juice. Or he wouldn't be happy. And so my main goal is I'm all about trying to make people happy. So I had like 10 minutes to go to Morrison's and back. But we did it, and we're back, and I was only about a minute late. But when I got back in the house, I suddenly realised if I didn't have a wee, I wasn't going to be a happy lad. So,
Did he need? Did you hear me? Okay. Oh no, that's better. What was I going to say? Does he need orange juice to mix with his Prosecco for his Bucks Fizz?
He probably is that. I mean, he's making out that he's poorly. Anybody from St James Secondary School in Exeter is listening, then he's a very poorly boy. He's not been able to attend school today.
But, dear. Poor Douglas. Get well soon. Now, Ed, you're a bit... It might be my signal. I don't think it is. You're a bit distant, your microphone sound.
Distant, mate. I'm right here for you.
Oh, that's good. That's better. Anyway, we've got some regulars in the room. We've got Tim and Lucy in the room, and I know that a good few people will be listening back. Obviously, the football hasn't gone to extra time or penalties. It's been won in normal time by the French. So an Argentina-France final for the football.
Morocco. Is that, am I right? Is it France-Morocco?
France beat Morocco. Yes, Morocco.
That's a shame. That's poor. That's poor playing of the post-colonial thing. I expect these jokes have been done. I shan't bother. Anyway, shall we pretend to be interested in football? Shall we?
Well, I've become interested in football. I know that our dedicated listener Richard Newbold has sort of protested and not watched any World Cup games, and he's a football fan because of the whole Qatar thing. But I having been off work for the last 3 weeks, I have entertained myself with with football, and I've enjoyed it actually, because I'm not a football fan at all. I normally very rarely watch it. England obviously did pretty well, and so that it was quite, I was quite happy supporting them. But I was just enjoyed watching a lot of games. So it's been a bit bizarre. I'm normally really not interested, and I've become, I wouldn't say a football fan, but I think it's been quite good. Having it on in the winter in the evenings, I haven't got a problem with it being in the winter.
Well, I despise football from the bottom of my heart. I think it's the worst game, and I wouldn't have watched any of it anyway because it is the worst game. However, it was made easier for me because I could dress that up as concerns for human rights and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
do you despise the culture of the sport, rather like I have done in the past and probably do mostly, or do you actually not like the game? Because the game, when played excitingly, it is quite a beautiful and simple game, and it's a great leveler. Anyone can play it. Huh?
Not as good as Rugger. No,
well, no, but now this is interesting. You see, Ed, it isn't as good as rugby. I'm a big rugby fan, but yeah, I wasn't expected to be having this chat actually.
I'll tell you what. As a youth, as a young boy, I shared a bedroom with my brother William, known to his friends as Bill nowadays, but he was known as William at the time, and he was obsessed with football. He could speak of little else, and he's older than me, and what he liked to do is take me outside, put me between a pair of sticks, and then fire balls at me as hard as he could. I would then fail to catch them. In fact, I wouldn't fail to catch them. I would just get out of the way because I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
And he would then laugh and celebrate that he had scored a goal. And he could do this for hours. I, of course, wanted his approval, so I would play along with this game. However, it did not inculcate a love of the game. So I actually don't think it's anything about the game or about yobbish culture or anything. I think it's just memories of.
No, I hated it at school. I absolutely hated it at school. I hated the culture. I hated the people who were good at football at school.
However, I'm not. I don't know if it's possible that the listeners out there imagine me to be some sort of Adonis, some sort of muscle-bound athlete with heroic skills, and I'm afraid it's simply not the case. I am not. I'm not that person. I cannot kick a ball straight for toffee. I cannot. I can't throw. I can't catch. I can't kick. What are the other things that people do in the sporting
We are blood
world?
brothers, Ed. I'm rubber. My catching skills are terrible. My hand-eye coordination, poor. Ollie, my son, is Ollie, my son is
super sporty, isn't he? Yeah,
very sporty. His his catching in cricket is astonishing. He could see this thing like a football and dive and jump and.
Yeah, I can't see them. During my formative years, I probably needed glasses because when I found I needed glasses, I definitely really, really needed them.
Yeah.
So I think I probably spent a good number of years needing glasses but not having them. So these nasty hard red balls would just suddenly appear near me and then hit me. There was no sense of it approaching. No. Anyways, it's not. I'm sure sport. God bless it. But it's a time of year for positivity. We agreed this in our pre-show chat, didn't we? All about positivity. So sport.
Absolutely. Lucy has made a comment. My brother threw hard objects at me with no warning to improve my catching skills. I just got bruises. Never been sporty myself either, Tim. Tim, but you're good at yomping, though, aren't you? Yomping across more, Tim is.
I don't count that sport though.
No, it's not.
I'm good at. I mean, I'm not as good at yomping as Tim is. He's Olympic yomper, isn't he?
He's the god of yomping, isn't he?
I really hope, Tim, if you, I mean, he is listening, isn't he? I really hope that at some point in the not very distant future we can meet up for a yomp because the bit of the moor I know is sort of the best is the bit around of Oakhampton, so he's of Yes Tour and High Willow's Tour and all that. And I know that Tim is an expert more on the sort of the end towards Tavistock and down towards Plymouth. I would love for Tim to show me a couple of walks down that end. In fact, it could be that it's a weekend when you're available.
Absolutely.
Together,
maybe, that could be. Let's I'm down around over New Year, but I think that might be a bit packed with but yes, but definitely in the Easter time maybe would be great. Anyway, Ed, I can hear the ukulele. This is our Christmas special. Do we want to play a little song to get us in the festive mood? I did send you some suggestions, but you can play what you like.
Are you hanging up your stocking on the wall? Come on, join in. It's the time that every Santa has a ball. I'm not sure this is the key. Does he ride a red-nosed reindeer? Does it turn up on his sleigh? Do the fairies keep him sober for a day? Here we go. So here
it is. Merry Christmas. Everybody's having fun.
Look to the future now.
It's only just begun. It's Christmas.
Family to arrive. Are you sure you got the room to spare inside? Does your granny always tell you that the old songs are the best? But she's up and rock and rolling with the rest. So here it is, Merry Christmas, everybody's having fun. Look to the future now, it's only just begun. Oh, what do your daddy do when he sees your mother kissing Santa? He goes, I can't get the key for this. I think is that enough? No, one more.
That's
chorus.
enough. That's enough. We'll have some more later on. We'll have some more songs later on. Everybody's having fun. Ed, can I just check with the massive amount of live listeners we've got from all over the globe? Ed sounds really quite muffled to me tonight. How's he sounding to you guys?
Guys, am I muffled?
You're not muffled now. I think you just. Yeah. I think you sound like you were playing that underwater.
I can tell you I wasn't, but I was playing it very badly.
So you were playing it. I enjoyed it very much. One new message, Lucy. What's Lucy saying? Fainter singing, louder talking. There we go. Fainter. Okay. Anyway,
because at the moment when I'm speaking, I hold the telephone near to my face, but when I'm singing, I have to put it down so I can hold the ukulele. That could be a technical reason. That could be it. I'm not in a professional recording studio, people. I'm not.
I am. Mine's really professional. I'm actually broadcasting from my sitting room this week rather than my bedroom, so I'm nearer the Wi-Fi router. And I have my curtains drawn open so that I can see my twinkly fairy lights on my decking with the snow. There's still about a few inches of snow out there, not melted. The main roads are all clear, but it was quite exciting, the snow on Sunday evening in Kent. I was pushing cars up the hill in Goudhurst, and it was a tour of the Tour de France, King of the Mountain, at the opening of the Tour de France in, I don't know, about 2000 and something. It's this very steep hill with a church at the top of the hill, and it's got a sharp 90-degree bend right in front of the church, and it's a nightmare. And so it was quite fun on Sunday night trying to help people out. There's a good community spirit in my new village residence. So that was fun.
Nothing brings a community together, does it? Like watching a Ford Fiat crash into the back end of an Audi. They love it. I mean,
there were surprisingly no prangs, but you do see those lovely videos on Twitter, don't you? On people send around those idiots who just slam on their brakes as they're going downhill, and then suddenly.
Well, I was Sunday evening when you were enjoying Push and O's. I was trying to drive back to Devon from the Cotswolds, and I would say the first 40 minutes of that journey were, I think, the most terrifying driving I have ever done. And I've done some terrifying driving. It was trying to get out of Upper Rissington and onto the M5 was an epic journey.
Did you have the snow just kind of coming like a sort of, you've basically been bombarded by a snow machine, and it's really, really disorientating, isn't it? Really mesmerizing on your eyes.
Really, and you just you have to end up just like sort of believing that the road definitely is there and that it's probably straightish, and then I mean the roads were like a skating rink. I was just sliding all over the shop. I've got this in my new car. I still call it my new car. I've got this yellow light that comes on the dashboard when you're sliding to say, you're sliding. I know, like, you go, I know I'm sliding and you're distracting me. Like, look, that hedge is, I'm going to slide sideways towards that hedge. I didn't mean to be. Don't flash your yellow light at me. I know very well what is going on here. I don't really see the point of it, but it was okay. I did get back to Devon.
I'm glad you got back safely and that there were no accidents in your periphery, and so that's very, very good. And I have, my car talks to me and sends me messages. I've got a new Polo, and but the guy who sold it to me told me to turn off. It goes automatically into lane correction. So if you veer out of your lane, it sort of steers you back in. It's they're testing out all these sort of driverless car features on, and it's got an if I get too close to the car in the front and it's slowing down, it's sort of all get a big red light, stop, and but it's all good. But he told me how to turn off the lane correct thing because it's not much fun driving being steered back into your lane. Anyway, I wanted to ask you a question, Ed, as it's our Christmas special, and we are obviously the Eric and Ernie, or the Ronnie and Ronnie, or whatever of TT Radio, Teachers Talk Radio, and so which one of us is Eric and which one of us is Ernie?
I think that's the.
I won't be offended.
I think we're more like Cannon and Ball.
Oh my gosh, Cannon and Ball! What's it? Rock on, Tommy! Rock on, Tommy! Was that the catchphrase? Wasn't it?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We could
Eddie and Sid. Eddie and Sid.
Yeah. Look, that's Little and Large. That is, isn't it? That's Little and Large. In which case, there's no question. That's easy. Out of Abbott and Costello. I mean, which one of the Three Stooges are you?
I think though. I think I think we're both Eric. I think you're Eric, definitely not Ernie. You're funnier than me. You're funnier than me. Therefore, you're Eric. But I'm not a very straight guy either, am I? I don't want to be Ernie. I think we're two Erics. If we go with the Ronnie route, though, my dad was a huge fan of Ronnie Barker. Whenever I see Ronnie Barker on television, I always think of my dad. The sort of same facial kind of mannerisms and just he reminds me of my dad. I don't know why. They didn't really look alike, particularly, but the same sort of era, I suppose. And I loved watching the two Ronnies with him, and so it's a fond memory. But I am definitely Ronnie Corbett, aren't I? With my not in height, but in my ability to talk endlessly about really very little and go off on lots of sidetracks.
Well, that's quite right. You know that Ronnie Barker grew up just meters away from the house I left in Oxford, with the blue plaque and everything.
Really?
That's exciting, isn't it? Did his first performances in the back garden when those houses were new and they wouldn't have been hedges or fences, so they'd have been very open. So his little back garden shows would, I think, have been open to the entire sort of neighbourhood.
He was an Oxford man, was he? Talking of blue plaques. When I was in Devon last, I think, which was a month ago, I was supposed to go down at the weekend, but because I've had a bit of a wobble and a bit of a correction, and I'm all right, by the way. I know that some of people who have been asking about me, and I'm very open, but I just think the last 2 years have been kind of bonkers, and then it's all sort of calmed down, and I have a very overactive mind, and so, but I also was pretty emotionally exhausted from everything that happened in the summer. The moving and the finalising of divorce and the mother illness, going into hospital stuff, and all the reflection on everything before that as well. But I think I was pretty exhausted from my multiple trips down to Devon to visit mother in hospital and transition her back into home. But on my last visit, which was now 4 weeks ago, I'm just spooling back. I saw a blue plaque in the village of Langtree, which is my home village in Devon, where mother lives. I'm just spooling back. Oh, where is it? Oh, these are Devon. That's Heartland. Here it is. Blue plaque outside someone's house in Langtree. Robbie, born 9.6.1933, potterer, wine buff, and party animal, lives here. I thought that was quite entertaining. He put his own blue plaque outside his house. I don't know if he still lives there. 1933. If he's still a wine buff.
Enjoy your blue plaque while you're still alive. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So we're going to talk a bit about our some books. Well, because it's some people may not have done their Christmas shopping yet.
Oh, you're right. They may not have done.
And
I'll tell you what. Yeah.
And so we were going to recommend books that have come out this year, either in paperback or hardback, or children's
I
picture
think
book.
we covered ourselves by saying all books which we discovered this year.
Well, yeah,
because
good,
I can't remember when things get published. I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah.
astonished when things win awards, and I'm like, I'm sure this has been out for years, and I think sometimes they have, and it's a bit of technology. So go on, I do one. A book, so if you're buying for a child, anybody out there needs to buy for a child anywhere in the age range of Key Stage 1 or 2, actually. I think Minnie Gray's Greatest Show on Earth it came out this year. It's on lots of award wins, and it's been sort of on various people's list of the year, but it is genuinely fantastic. So Minnie Gray is a picture book author and illustrator.
Yeah.
Minnie
What's
Gray,
it called? The title again?
The book is called The Greatest Show on Earth, and it's a history of the Earth, told by this cheeky bunch of traveling insect players. So it's non-fiction, but told very entertainingly by this bunch of insects. And it's well researched. She's checked the science. She's gone through, and she's like, so it's up to date science of the history of mostly of life on our planet. So if you ever, it's a subject we're all. No, it's really, really good. It's a big format picture book. It's packed with jokes. It's packed with stuff to look at, but it's also packed with really good stuff. So any child with any ounce of curiosity would find that entertaining and would find it informative. I found it entertaining and informative, and I'm 51. I think
a message for the
Minnie. Yeah.
Message for any grandparents listening who don't really read books. Don't buy your pre-teen children, grandchildren, the latest Walliams. Buy the Minnie Gray's The Greatest Show on Earth. That's the recommendation.
So yeah, that's a big picture book. There is no need for anybody to buy Williams. I mean, it's not great writing, the Williams, and I don't need to go into it, but I think it's genuinely offensive on many levels, and you just don't need to. There's good stuff. So if you've got an older child who you think doesn't want a picture book because they might think it's babyish, they're wrong. They'll grow out of it. They'll come back to them. But there is a period in your life when you think that picture books aren't for you. A book which I enjoyed enormously this year for sort of year 5, 6 child maybe, or even a year 7 child, is the new one in Philip Reeves' Utterly Dark series, Utterly Dark in the Heart of the Wild. It's a follow-up to last year's Utterly Dark in the Face of the Deep, and I just think it's a delight. It's set on these weird islands which are out beyond the Scillies, where magic lingers on. It's in this sort of very fictional...
Can you read it standalone, or do you need to read the other ones first?
Oh, well, I think I'd probably read the other one first. So Philip Reeve, if people are struggling to think who he is best known for writing Mortal Engines, which was made into a rather poor film, sadly. The film let down a book by Peter Jackson's production company. So that sort of maybe lifted it to a thing, but it had already won loads of awards around 2000. So the Mortal Engines is this brilliant series. First there's a quartet, and then there's a sort of prequel trilogy, and then there's a couple of bits of float off writing there. They're about a time when, for some reason, we needn't go into, cities are now these sort of huge juggernaut moving things. So London trundles around on caterpillar tracks, consuming smaller cities. And there's been this terrible weapon built which will wipe out things. Lots and lots of fun MacGuffins. He's a master of world building, is Philip Reeve. So he's known for his world building. But I actually think, he is. But he is because he just cannot write a boring sentence. He cannot do it. Every sentence he writes crackles with fun and interest, whether it's the structure of the sentence or the words he's choosing, or just the fact that his personality shines through. Mortal Engines he did, and then he's done a fantastic sci-fi series about these trains that are sort of like intergalactic trains. There's the Ice Station Zero series. He's done various ones. Yeah. So the ones his new
And it's
series
the
is
utterly dark series. That's
Yeah,
so.
so
Now
Utterly
that
Dark
sounds.
is this child who's grows up on this funny island thinking that she's an orphan, and as the series is wearing on, we're discovering that maybe she's something a little bit more than what we thought. But yeah, the first one's Utterly Dark, and The Face of the Deep is sort of focuses on her relationship with the sea and the sort of the gods and goddesses of the sea. And then this new one is more about that. So he lives down here. He lives not far from me in Widdicombe in the Moor, does Philip?
Oh, what a place to live!
Yeah.
What a
The
place to live
first
and
book,
write books. That
well, yeah, he very sensibly moved there, and then I think the books get drawn out of him. But anyway, yeah, no, the first book being a sea book is because it's slightly more Cornish, I think. Really, it's more about, it's about coastal places. This new one is about wild woodland, and obviously, that Devon does wild
yes,
woodland rather well. So
it
I
does.
quipped on Twitter that I said if he's done Cornwall and then he's done the lovely
Oh yes,
the
you've mentioned
oak wood in
Trago
Devonshire.
Mills.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine a magical story, magical mythical story set in Trago Mills. This is very much an in joke for
In
those of
joke
us.
for those.
Uh,
I've never been to Trago Mills, but I know you went there on a sort of pilgrimage with
we
Douglas
went on a
and
pilgrimage. What an extraordinary place it is. Um, what we call it down here, we call it Jana Disneyland. Jana being a
Jana
fond
being the
name, the fond name for the inhabitants of Plymouth.
yes.
Jana Disneyland. Yeah, Trago Mills is this shocking series of sort of aircraft hangars full of dreadful stuff. I
Jana
shan't tell you
Disney
any more about
World.
that. But that's what they call it. Where are you going this week? Jana Disneyland. Okay, what do you want? I'm going to get a ukulele, a dinged up cooking pot and 3 t-shirts for a fiver. Yes.
Which Disneyland? Which now I'm really not into Disney, so the whole. I mean, I have no issue with Walt, and I don't really have any issue with the original concept, but I do have the sort of Disneyfication of everything. I don't like it. And which one's Disneyland and which one's Disney World? There's Florida and there's California, isn't there?
I
Which one
don't
is which?
know. I don't
Who
know.
knows? I
How
don't
are you
know.
going to do that?
I don't know.
Disneyland Paris, Disneyland. I don't know. I tell you what, we weren't going to do this, but here we go. TV recommendations from this year. I
Okay.
was blown away by the new Star Wars franchise called Andor, which is I mentioned because it's on the Disney Plus channel. I had to
Oh,
resubscribe to Disney Plus just to watch it. I got a little bit tired of it. I really enjoyed the Mandalorian series. I thought that was terrific. And then the second series of Mandalorian kind of lost me. And then there was the Obi-Wan spin-off series, and that just did not. I didn't have any interest in that at all. And so I let my Disney Plus subscription go and saved myself £8 a month. And then my friend Elon Ezekiel said, "You have to watch this. It's really good." So I resubscribed for Andor, which is a series which sets up the character who's going to be the protagonist in a Rogue One. So it's a little bit obscure,
okay.
maybe, but oh my goodness, it's good. The writing is extraordinary.
I didn't think
The
you didn't like sci-fi, do you, Ed? I didn't think you did. Why? Who was it who didn't like? Oh, you quite like that stuff.
Well, I loved Star Wars. I loved the first one when I was a child.
Yeah,
It absolutely spoke to me very, very deeply as a 7-year-old or whatever I was when I first saw it. I mean, I really did love Star Wars. And then because I loved Star Wars so much, I carried
stuck with
that
it.
love over.
Yeah,
I loved Empire Strikes Back. Again, I was exactly the right age for Empire Strikes Back. And then
that's the
when
only one
Return
I
of the
saw at the
Jedi came
cinema. I
out,
saw Empire Strikes Back
yeah,
at the cinema. Yeah,
saw Empire
81.
Strikes Back about 5 times or 6 times at the cinema. I loved it so much. I could not bear the prequels. In fact, I still haven't watched any one of the prequels all the way through. I tried and I just couldn't bear it. Absolutely. Talk about pissing on your dreams. Awful, I thought. Awful, awful, awful. But these TV spin-offs, like I say, that first series of The Mandalorian I thought was extraordinary work. I loved it. Um, Technically it's interesting. It's made in this sort of in a studio which is surrounded. The whole studio is surrounded by LED screens. So
Yeah,
instead of shooting on location or instead of shooting in front of a green screen and then adding in the background later, they can put whatever background they want in it. Yeah, so they can film in the middle of the desert, right? And then they can say, everybody take a 5-minute break, off you go, get yourself a cup of tea, and they can change. You can come back in the same studio and you can be, in the middle of the jungle or whatever. And that allowed them to make The Mandalorian, making it look like they were really in Tunisia in the original sets for Star Wars, or if they were really in, Elstree or whatever. But it did have a certain look. So with this new series Andor, they've gone back to shooting on locations. They've been really clever. It's mostly shot in Britain. It's mostly British actors as well. So it's lovely to see the Star Wars.
Freshwater West down in Pembrokeshire's used a lot for a lot of these film sets. The wild, big sandy beach. Not dissimilar to Saunton Sands or Westwood Ho.
On Saunton Sands,
Saunton Sands is used a lot of big sandy beaches, and they're sort of wild places, aren't they? Big sandy beaches with sand dunes behind them, and so they can be.
For Andor, they've used cleverly. They've used the new Elizabeth line for quite a lot of the locations on Coruscant, because they just go, it looks like sci-fi. You don't have to do much,
Yeah. I was just going to pick up on.
Walks past. Anyway, it's great. Look, we weren't going to do that, so I was just going to say, guys, if you've
given
up on Star Wars, I genuinely think it's interesting. Character arcs are interesting. Dialogue is fantastic. It looks fantastic. So, genuinely worth buying.
I'm gonna just pick up on something Lucy said. Lucy's brother is not coming out well this evening. So Lucy's told us about her brother kicking hard objects at her and causing bruises when we were talking about learning to catch earlier on, and now she just said my brother hit me on the head with his glow in the dark lightsaber that it so hard that it bent. I mean, this is not good. Have your brother's treated you badly, Lucy? I hope you're not permanently damaged by this trauma. Anyway, should we be really organised, Ed? Having not done a show for a while, it's 31 minutes and 24 seconds in. Should we go to the news and then come back afterwards
and then go to the news?
Oh, good boy.
A long list of songs you want to get through. So song, then news. All right, and I'm going to try propping my phone up on my chest. See if this gives you a better.
Yeah, your voice has been much clearer. Yeah, go on. What song have we got now?
Well, here we go. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear the sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a
white Christmas.
With every Christmas card I write, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be
white, very white. Very good, lovely. Okay, everybody, we'll be back.
Sound balance, though? Was that sound balance better on that?
Yeah, that was much better. You've been much clearer and louder for the vast majority of the show, Ed. It was just the beginning where you were under a swimming pool. Lucy wasn't any better to her brother, for those of you who are concerned about Lucy. Right, everybody, the news. We will be back soon. Take care. Don't go away now.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, a leading publisher of books, directories, educational guides and magazines specifically aimed at forward-thinking schools in the UK and beyond. Have you checked out their latest releases? Don't miss out! Visit johncattbookshop.com to explore their full range of titles and advance your own professional development today. Happy reading!
This episode of Teachers Talk Radio has been made possible with support from Witherslack Group, the UK's leading provider of SEN education and care. They're here to support you too through an ever-growing offer of free resources, including webinars, podcasts, articles, and events aimed at supporting teaching professionals like you. Visit their website at www.witherslackgroup.co.uk to find out more. This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
TES magazine reported on news that Education Secretary Gillian Keegan said that the proposed schools bill will not progress in this parliamentary session. The bill itself was originally launched in May this year and covered a range of areas including school attendance, safeguarding and new powers over multi-academy trusts. Ms Keegan spoke at the Commons Education Select Committee, confirming that the schools bill will not progress in the third session. She also said her department remained committed to the objectives and would be prioritising some aspects of the bill. Of the aspects of the bill Ms Keegan stated she wanted to focus on, she identified the need for a register to identify and account for children not in schools, as well as helping more faith schools join multi-academy trusts. One area not seen as a priority, however, was the creation of more grammar schools, with Ms Keegan stating her strong views that 93% of children will never get to go to one, and the belief that the academy structure remains the route to make the biggest difference to the most children the quickest. The Mirror Online carries a story about Labour MP Zara Sultana's proposal to widen the free school meal scheme in primary schools across England. Under the plans, all primary pupils would get access to free school meals. The current scheme for universal free school meals ends in year 2. The article suggests that under the current plan, around 800,000 children living in poverty miss out on free meals due to the strict eligibility criteria. Ms Sultana will bring forward a bill in the coming week. The MP for Coventry South said it was a major issue when families simply can't afford everyday groceries, and that providing meals for school was another strain. She went on to point out that both Scottish and Welsh governments have plans to introduce universal free school meals, but accused the government in England of prioritising tax breaks for the wealthiest people. Warwickshire World online news site reports on the arrival of delegates from around the world to a conference focusing on developing technical education. More than 50 visitors attended the event organised by the British Council at Warwick Trident College. The college is part of the WCG group. Guests arrived from a range of countries in Africa and Asia, with delegations including government ministers and education officials. A spokesperson for the WCG said technical education is one of the key pillars of a successful developing economy, and that the hope was that delegates would take away some insights which will have a positive impact on their country's developments in technical and vocational training. The latest Sunday Times Schools Guide has been released, and many local news outlets are reporting on the successes of schools in their surrounding areas. Northern Ireland outlets report that the guide has rated 7 secondary schools in the national top 50, calling this a significant achievement in light of the nation's comparatively small population. It was acknowledged that several of the Northern Ireland schools mentioned in the list have been described as highly selective grammar schools, with the DUP's Diane Dodds noting that whilst Northern Ireland is punching above its weight, there will always be areas where improvements can be made. She went on to point out that the list as a whole is dominated by expensive fee-paying schools. Finally, Keele University has launched the UK's first law undergraduate degree designed to help tackle the climate crisis. The new course in Law with Environmental Sustainability is the first of its kind in the UK. It has been developed to create legal professionals with a good knowledge of environmental obligations on governments and communities. Professor Alison Brammer, head of the School of Law at Keele, said, "The climate crisis affects everyone, and we need legal professionals who understand the issues we face." This has been your Teachers Talk Radio News with Joe Fox.
And back in the room. No tech update today, Ed, so you've got to demute yourself and get back in the room. Are you going to burst back in with another tune to kind of lure us back into our Eric, Ernie, 2 Ronnies, Paul and what's he called?
Can you hear
Bob.
me? Can you hear me?
Train guy. I can hear you, Cole.
Thank heavens for that. Okay, coach, let's go straight in with the song. For Lucy. For Lucy, because we love her.
Yeah, for Lucy,
Okay, here
our
we
most
go.
dedicated and loyal listener.
Let me just see if I can sing a song that I've never sung in my life before. Who am I fooling? That's what I do every time. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. Wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. Wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. On the chorus, everybody! Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
Yo, baby! Christmas comes early on TT Radio with Toby and Ed, everybody.
Not really that early. The adverts have been on the telly for a while. But...
Well, true, and most people have had their tree up for about a month.
But sooner than Mick Lynch would have it, eh? Topical joke there.
Oh, yes. Yes, good point. Good point. It was quite topical. I'm still a fan of Mick Lynch, I want to say. Just getting, we're not supposed to be getting political. I am a big fan of Mick Lynch.
I'm not being political. I just like the cut of his jib.
I like the cut of his jib. He's good. He's good. And I heard him on his Today programme radio interview with Michelle Hussein. And I thought he was good at sort of, countering her line of questioning. Anyway, let's not get drawn into all that grimness, though.
No.
This is the winter of joy, everybody, not the winter of discontent with Toby and Ed. The winter of joy for 1 hour, for another 20 minutes or so. Books. Can I talk about a couple of books?
Yes, please. I'd like you to talk about books now.
Right. Well, the first book that I have read this year, which I think, did it come out this year or last year? It's pretty new. And I think I've talked about it in previous shows. It's by Robin Ince, the comedian and now writer. The Importance of Being Interested. So Robin Ince and I have a bit of a relationship in the sense we go back to End of the Road Festival in Dorset, lovely little festival, quite sort of indie, off-kilter little thing in Lama Tree Gardens. And I've only been once, and that was in 2010. And Robin Ince was performing on the comedy stage, and I think I heckled him. He was doing some gag about Tony Blair and the Gulf War or something. I don't know what it was. And he's funnier than me, and he's quicker than me, and I heckled him, and he absolutely shot me down in flames, and I didn't like him for that. But although it was probably the right thing to do, so I wasn't a big fan. And then I haven't paid much attention to the Infinite Monkey Cage with him because Brian Cox, I'm just jealous probably. Because I'm not a big fan of the Brian. I think Brian's programs are fascinating, but it's just I'm not quite sure about his manner. I find it a bit irritating. But Robin Ince wrote this brilliant book, The Importance of Being Interested: Adventures in Scientific Curiosity. It is quite sciencey. So he goes through a lot of things that he's fascinated by. But why I really like it, I mean, it's really well written. He writes very well, and it's funny as well. But and Brian Cox writes the.
Yeah, I think that Robin Ince is funnier on the page than he is
stand up. Yes, absolutely. I think very good. I agree with you. I think I haven't really, except for that one
incident. A lot of time for him. Do you know his lesson of his service of lessons and carols that he does every year in London? Does this? He's been done this. I don't know. It's been going on at least a decade now, maybe longer. Every year he does a sort of a humanist Christmas service, and he gets fascinating people to come along and do a little talk. So my mate Hugh, the Hedgehog Man, has spoken at that a few times. Anyway, yeah, no, he's a good man. Carry on. So what's this book about?
So this book's really about well, his introduction here is the book's really about just being the importance of being interested in stuff. It's about science, really. I mean, on the back cover, you've got wonderful, a beautifully written elegy to science, combining wonder, mystery, and humour. Curiosity dances across the pages. Robin's take on science is human, funny, but also deeply enthralling. I mean, it links to some of the stuff I rant on about. I mean, it really resonates with me because of my belief, as you know, having been a scientist in industry and worked with scientists for 16 years and been a scientist for 16 years prior to entering teaching. And you know, I'm just really pretty anti. You know, I'm going to come out stronger than I have been. I am pretty deeply anti the national science curriculum and the GCSE specification, and you know, it kills wonder. I mean, I'm not going to get down the killing creativity thing, but I think it just, you know, there is wonder in the curriculum, but it's just too much of it is condensed into certainty and fact, which is not the joy of science. But I'm just going to read you the beginning of the introduction, the stars in your destination. The moment I put my hand in my school blazer pocket and found it full of frog entrails, I already knew science was not for me. As a young child, I loved science. Primary school science classes were full of excitement, whether it was interrogating leaves or watching Robert Calvert see blood and then faint and smash his front teeth. In secondary school, though, here we go, key stage 3 and beyond. In secondary school, though, this joy evaporated. I think many people lose their interest in science at secondary school, and I was one of them. This is where science became serious, but also where it became joyless. This is where the equations and explanations seemed detached from my own experience. Whatever science was, it was not lived experience. It was as if scientists only thought in sums. They didn't daydream and play. Each day they opened their box of numbers and symbols and moved them about until they were satisfied. I've carried the two, and now I'm satisfied that I have a testable wave function. That was predominantly how I felt about science at school. And his curiosity about the world never went away. I just ignored it. I'd be thrilled to see an afternoon of art on the timetable, whilst to know that double physics was coming was to foresee time moving slower than Einstein could ever imagine. But yeah, so so that's what it lured me in, of course, because but the chapter titles are chapter 1 is Skepticism, from the maelstrom of knowledge into the labyrinth of doubt. Chapter 2 is God on Holiday. Are there still enough gaps for a God? Chapter 3, Armchair Travel, putting out your beach blanket on the sands of time. So it's quite physicsy to begin with. Big, isn't it? On coping with the size of the universe. Escape velocity, on looking back at the planet from a height. Why aren't they here, or are they? On waiting for our alien savers. Anyway, it goes on like this. Swinging from the family tree, inviting yeast to the family reunion. So that's all about genetics and how we are, you know, we share some DNA with yeast. The mind is a chaos of delight, on the matter of the grey matter. Reality, what a concept, can anything be what it seems? Imagining there's no heaven, on being finite. More important than knowledge, on the necessity of imagination. And so it goes, facing up to the end of everything. I loved reading it, and I think it's great. I don't recommend it for someone who someone needs to be interested in science and interested in be curious. But he's actually written a follow-up book, because when he was supposed to be going on tour, well, not a follow-up book, another book since then, which I'm actually reading at the moment, and that is called Bibliomaniac, because he went on he was supposed to be going on an Infinite Monkey Cage tour during COVID, but it was pulled because of the COVID, and so he decided to do a tour of independent bookshops instead. Just doing some book signings and some talks about the importance of being interested. And he's written a book about that. And in the end, he ended up going through sort of 2021 and perhaps into the beginning of this year as well. He ended up going to about 100 independent bookshops. So you'd love it. I've only read about the first 20 or 30 pages.
He came to Dogbury and Finch near me.
He did. He went, that's in Oakhampton, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, and so
independent bookshop. If you're travelling through the southwest and you want an independent bookshop, you're spoiled for choice. You can go to the Bookery just around the corner from me
in Crediton. Yeah, lovely. I've been there. Lovely lady runs that.
Cruel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, ID from the Bookery was here in my house. Just before I had to run to Morrison's to get the orange juice. That's why I was a bit late getting the orange juices, because I was hanging out with Dee.
Cool. And so so I've gone on about that, but the thing is, in Robin Ince, I like him because in the beginning of the Bibliomaniac, which is not the book I'm talking about, is the book that he talks about potentially having ADHD. I think I've got some kind of underlying ADHD or mild bipolar or something, God knows what, that sort of eats away at me from the inside occasionally. And he talks about, how his wife gets really frustrated about, he just buys books, he can't, he walks into a bookshop, he either buys none or 10 books, and he never buys none. So, and I'm like that. If I go into a secondhand bookshop, I have to buy something. And I've got so many books on my shelves that I haven't read and that I probably never will read. But just the joy of being surrounded by books is a rather wonderful thing. So enough about Robin Ince. My second book, Ed, is probably, this is a book club book that I recommended for book club. And I absolutely loved it. I think I have mentioned it as well, possibly. The Romantic by William Boyd. Now, William Boyd writes brilliant prose. I am, I think I suffer. My dad was a romantic, really, and I suffer from romanticism. It's a lovely thing when channeled, but there's always another adventure. There's always a next big thing, and one gets bored rather easily. But this Romantic, it's a sort of fake autobiography, which William Boyd's written an autobiography of someone called Nat Tate, I think, an artist before, like a fictional biography of someone. But this guy lives through the 1800s, basically born in 1799, and goes all over the place. He spends some time in near Venice, and he spends some time with the Romantic poets, Byron and Shelley and stuff, and he spends some time. He fights at Waterloo, but it's beautifully written, and it's a bit of a lark as well, and it was quite educational because I don't actually know much about the 19th century, and I do know a bit more about it now. So I recommend that. A good read, but an easy read as well, not too heavy. So there we go. I think I feel that neither of those are very feminine books. So a book that I haven't read, but I'm looking forward to reading. But I haven't read, but I'm looking forward to reading. Which edited by Kim Gordon of Sonic Youth, whose book "Girl in a Band" was fantastic. Her kind of autobiography. This woman's work, essays on music, written by female musicians. I've got that to read. Kim Gordon, and edited by Sinead Gleason. Contributions from Anne Enright, Fatima Mabuto, Jen Pelly. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And I did enjoy musically reading Graham Coxon's autobiography. I'm a big Graham Coxon and Blur fan, as people know, but that was well written. I think he had a ghostwriter to help him. But that was very interesting, and a lot about alcoholism and addiction and overcoming that. And obviously all about the formation of Blur and the whole Britpop Oasis thing, but a lot about him just wanting to be in a smaller band and not really wanting to be as successful as they were, but then he probably still quite likes the money. And one final one, and then I'll shut up, which I'm also kind of half reading at the moment, is also musically. Jeff Tweedy, my beloved Jeff Tweedy from Wilco. This is just out in paperback this year. How to Write One Song, and I'm about that. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm not going to write a song, I don't think. But no, but it's also about writing generally, and the creative process, and how you have to extract yourself from yourself, from your ego. There's some fascinating writing about shutting down your ego and just kind of relaxing into yourself, and that I find fascinating, because one of the things I have stopped doing in the last sort of 6 months with the 6, 7, 8 months probably, with the culmination of everything, is I've stopped writing myself, and I've just restarted again this last week, and it feels good. And I've spoken to Alex, good old Alex Wright, Curtain Sleep, who's not very active on Twitter anymore. We've had a bit of email conversation and talked about writing and stuff, and I think Alex and I have a similar sort of we're quite different in character, but we're also quite similar in sometimes our inside stuff, I think. So, writing, I think, very important, the creative process, and as an escape, if nothing else. So that's a fascinating read and well written as well. So there we go. Enough. We've
There you go.
spoken. Yeah, have you got
6
some
minutes
adult
left.
books to talk about?
Well, I mean, we've got 6 minutes left, so I'll reiterate my high praise for Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe, which I believe I have mentioned on this thing, but that's
You have mentioned before. That's about the Sackler
yeah, it is
thing,
about the
isn't it?
Sackler family and about the opioid scandal, largely in the US, but it's a global problem. I really think it reads like a thriller. It's all true. It shocks you. It shocks you. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was this bad. I would say that. But look, come on, we got 5 minutes left. We're going to squeeze in one more song. What's your favourite bit of Christmas in school?
My favourite bit of Christmas in school. Well, I don't know, a carol service. I think which we got.
Ooh,
We're
I like a
supposed.
carol service. Good shout.
Carol service. We've got that tomorrow afternoon.
Tell me, have you got? Does your school have like its own chapel, or do you have to go to a local church?
The school does have its own chapel, but it's very dark and it's very cold, and we don't really. And it was out of action for a bit whilst we were extending our DT and art room, and so we haven't started reusing it. It's not big enough to fit parents as well as kids in, and so we don't. But we go to the village church, and so we were supposed to do that on Tuesday evening. It was kind of cancelled because of the snow, but so many of the year 8, our eldest children in the choir, parents kind of kicked off, that it has been reorganised for tomorrow afternoon. And that's good, and that's the last thing we do. We finish tomorrow, so we've got carol service.
Well, that's nice, isn't it? Isn't that better to finish with it?
I think
go to the church, sing the Christmas songs,
and then go and have a couple of beers.
I think that sounds ideal. Okay, that's good. We had our nativity today, which was a joy, and we didn't do one last year, and we didn't do one the year before that, and I'm not even sure we did one the year before that, frankly. So after several years off, to have children stumbling around dressed as donkeys, mate, that put a smile on my face that wiped out some of the other stuff that goes on. Happy days.
What do you remember about your own nativities that you were in? I remember being Balthazar, one of the wise men.
Blimey, I don't think I knew that the wise men had differentiated names. I don't know that I ever. I think I was a shepherd once. I don't remember much about it, I'm afraid.
You reckon you make a good shepherd, Edward? I reckon you'd be a good boy down there with those lambs, those tibbies out on the moor.
I rocked the part. I didn't have an awareness of myself as a performer in those days. I didn't really come into myself as a performer, I would say, until we did a class assembly where we retold the story of the wind and the sun and the wind, which one is more powerful.
Oh, yes.
And I tried to blow the traveller's cloak off, but I couldn't do it. They just gathered it more strongly around themselves, but the sun just beamed. Yes. I played the wind. I had like green robes and a green metallic headband. And then I think a girl who was chosen, I think largely on the quality of her looks rather than any performance. She had long golden hair and she had a sort of star-shaped headdress thing covered in these gold stickers that were very, very shiny, and some sort of golden robes. I mean, yes, at the end of the day, she did win. She did manage to get the traveller to remove his cloak and thereby win the bet. But I think my blowing was very strong.
Strong blowing, Ed. Good. I'm pleased to hear you're a strong blower.
I'm a strong blower, and I think that would have been around the equivalent of year 3 or year 2 or year 3. I thought this performing business is pretty good. I could sense that the eyes were on me when I was doing my blowing. And later on at that same school, that's my primary school. Later on, I played the lead role. In fact, in a play that was written by my class teacher, a play that was called The Perfect Young Man. And I played the lead in that. And that was the first time I got to play the lead in the title role in a show. That really set me on my path that brings me, to very much to where I am now. Anyway, that was my performance. But that was my but the nativity this afternoon, honestly, it was a happy
it's a joyful thing. I'm going to go to in my new village of Goudhurst in Kent. I'm going to go to the church carol service on on Sunday evening. There's a tractor lit up rally coming through Goudhurst on Sunday afternoon as well.
Tractor rally.
That's exciting,
Yes.
with the tractor lights. And
I'm
then
looking
also
forward to going to the carol service in Chagford on Christmas Eve, where I'm told if I turn up with a guitar or a squeeze box, I'll be allowed to play along.
Oh wow, brilliant! And then I'm going to take the kids with me.
That's going to be good
for Christmas, which is good. We got a
Have
Christmas.
you just disappeared off the radio? Are you still there?
I'm still here.
No, he's still there. It's fine. Don't worry, guys. He's still there.
And
a little bit of panic there.
Christmas Eve. Oh no, Christmas Friday the 23rd. Got a big Christmas party with the kids and some of their friends and my friends, and that's going to be jolly. And then we'll go to midnight mass, I think, in the village as well, and have a mellow Christmas up here.
Very
and
nice.
I'm coming down to Devon, bringing Mother back down to Devon for around New Year. So I might see you around New Year's, possibly, my dear boy.
Well, if I'm around, then certainly you will. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Personally,
I'm not sure either.
I can't really see past Friday. Once
Friday
good
luck
resolved
with that.
itself,
everybody, all teachers, we're about to finish up with a couple of songs, but all teachers.
Couple of songs we'll be doing.
Yeah, why not? I don't know if you're ready, if you can. I think. Thanks for listening, everybody. It's nice to be back on the radio. I'm obviously feeling quite a lot better. I think we can't do next week, can we, Ed? Then it's Christmas, then it's New Year. So we will be back in January, around probably in about a month, 4 weeks, I think, January the 11th, I hope, to be back with a little bit more educational themed. But, we might get deep into the human condition as well and always be frivolous and fun amongst it, I hope. Anyway, Ed, over to you with some more lovely, lovely Christmas tunes. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening back.
Down of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in the dark streets shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wondering love. O morning stars together proclaim the holy birth, and praises sing to God the King, and peace to man on earth. Love that one.
Yeah, you do like that one. I
didn't
want to join in.
I just love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. How silently the wondrous gift is given. So God imparts to human hearts the blessings of his heaven. No ear may hear his coming, but in this world of sin, where meek souls will receive him still, the dear Christ enters in. That's my actual favourite Christmas song, that is.
Is it?
I love it.
My favourite one's In the Bleak Midwinter, Ed, which you played beautifully last year. So I
can finish on that if you want to. Oh, I love it.
Can we do the punk chorus to We Three Kings?
I don't know, can we?
Yeah, can we? I want to do the punk chorus to that. I know there's still 2 more days of school, and some people even have got some more next week, and I know it's getting late and we've overrun and stuff, but I just want to do the punk chorus to We Three Kings. Whoa, star of wonder, star and night.
Okay. Well, let's do the verse with a degree of decorum, and then I will let you take the things. Okay.
I need to get the words.
We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Oh, star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty
bleeding
bright,
bright.
westward
I can't
leading,
find the
still
lyrics
proceeding,
online.
guide
Oh
us
dear,
to thy
those
perfect
perfect
light.
light. Oh dear, I couldn't.
Born a king on Bethlehem's plain,
Couldn't I?
gold I bring to crown him again, king forever, ceasing never, over us all to reign. Oh,
Star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Used to do Christmas carols at lunchtime in when I worked at Pfizer in a small satellite site, not the big one down in Sandwich, but at Sittingbourne. There were only about 100 of us up there, and we used to get into kind of the where we used to have our packed lunches and whatever it was. We sat, and someone would bring in a keyboard, someone would bring in a guitar and a tambourine, and it was all quite happy clappy. And yes, that always got quite punky at that one.
That
anyway,
sounds delightful. I'm
lovely,
sorry I missed it.
love it. Yes, sorry.
Delightful.
We need to kind of end serenely, though, don't we? Now,
Yeah.
One more.
Do we?
Then.
Okay.
You
want in the
well,
bleak,
I don't know.
I
Do
love
we?
that
Do we?
song.
Do we?
Is there anybody still listening, or are we now just talking to each other, mate?
Well, that's no. Kate is listening. Hello, Kate. How are you? Christine is listening. Hello, Christine. Happy Christmas
there's still
to
people.
you.
Okay.
And
Well, we're doing the
Lucy's
bleak
still
midwinter,
listening.
then we will stop because it's another working day tomorrow. We might only 2 more get-ups, but we got to get them up. Okay.
Good.
Let's see if this... I mean, this ukulele has been sounding terrible tonight, hasn't it? I have to say, it's not been... This is the all-plastic ukulele, people out there in Radio Land. It's yes, it's all plastic, and it doesn't sound... It sounds basically like it's made out of plastic, doesn't it? And it's got a beautiful Beatles-inspired Love and Peace psychedelic design on the front. Maybe I'll tweet a picture of it when we finish this song. You can understand why it sounds so god-awful. But here we go. In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan, earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago. What can I give him? Poor as I am. If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what I can I give him? Give my heart. Love it. Love it.
Love it, love it, love it.
Who wrote that? Who wrote it? Go on.
Who wrote it? Was that what? It wasn't Christina Rossetti, was it?
It was Christina Rossetti. I thought you were going to say Simon Armitage, and I was going to laugh at you. So,
no.
Wasn't Graham Coxon? No. I know
Wasn't
that's your
Graham
normal
Coxon,
answer, but
or
it
Jeff
wasn't him.
Tweedy, or Bob Dylan. Indeed.
Yeah, turns out he wrote most things. If it wasn't written by Bob Dylan, it's normally Willie Nelson, isn't it? And if it's not Willie Nelson, then it's definitely Carole King. But on this occasion, Christina Rossetti. There you go.
Right, people. Have a very, very happy Christmas, everybody. Good luck with the last couple of days of term. Take care of yourselves.
And merry little Christmas. May your hearts be light. It's time to go. I have to go to sleep soon. Good night, everybody.
We
What
wish
a
you a Merry
pleasure to be
Christmas.
with you again.
I'm going to play the
See you again,
outro.
you Aaron.
Take care, Ed. It's lovely to
Bye.
do that again with you. See you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye bye. Good night. Happy
Bye.
Christmas.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.